personally, I really do learn best when I feel it, more so when. So again, see how I'm not looking for that extension, and I'm just appreciating her. But see, right here, she does not want to go further. Do you feel how that's a force? Okay? Now I have to go slow enough, but see how her head wanted to do the movement? This is very typical for adults. They drive cars like this, and they don't even think about moving their tush anymore. See how the head is going. Remember, when you touch someone, they have no idea they've been doing a movement for 2 days or their whole life. So now I'm going to rotate down. A lot of people, too, that are real type A's don't know how to slouch to save their life. Notice how I make this a little bit different for her experience, but I'm bringing her up over her pelvis. And now I'm going to, see, this is a little bit different. See how I go for extension and rotation. Slouch and rotation. And now I'm going to just go back and just look at, see. So now I can say, look to the right and look to the left. See, right there is where I still would need to work on. Do you feel that? But that would, again, would be a different conversation. But when you do something slow enough and purposeful on your end, see how much more you're open to find, again, just little glitches in the system. Listen, if someone comes to me with they've just had a hip surgery, right? Or someone came to me, this was probably one of most, I don't know, brainstorms on my part, but I have fibromyalgia, you know. And honestly, if someone comes in with fibro, I mean, I have to go at them like, because anything harder, they're literally going, ow, ow, you know, and I'm going, what, you know, but that's just their system. It was like her whole spine was fused, and I'm thinking, what the hell? And I'm going, and she goes, oh, I had spinal meningitis when I was 2. I had to relearn to walk. Do you think that had anything to do with it? And all on top of that, she burnt out her eardrums, and she was a lip reader until she was 9 when someone thought that she was hearing impaired. So if you're a lip reader, what do you think that's doing to your spine, much less spinal meningitis? She didn't have fibromyalgia. She just never recovered at 50 years old from a serious childhood illness. Doke, next. Feel what that's like. Now, just stand up. Don't put your hands into your lap. Just feel standing. Okay, go down again. Put your hands into your lap. Feel standing. See how you're doing 2 separate actions.
Stopping yourself.
Again, I'm not criticizing. I want you to start seeing what other kids are doing. So if all of a sudden, okay, pretend there's a walker in front of you. Sit down. Put your hands on a walker. Put your hands on a walker. Now try and get up.
You're pushing yourself down at the same time, trying to.
That's where you'll see a lot of kids with CP, and they're literally like this, trying to stand up, versus because they don't know that they have feet. See, now I can't initiate. Now again, normally if this was my client, I wouldn't be talking like this. This is where it's very hard when I'm like, I haven't even touched a kid, and the mom's going, so what's wrong with my child? And I'm like, see how I can't twist her? So I'm totally going down. Do you feel it? See how her head's trying to do more and more of the work? So I have to go that slow because I don't want the head to do it. Now again, you can't, quote, control a child. And a lot of us are just big kids. And also, don't forget, we've had a lot of people in our lives that really don't know a lot telling us what to do. Especially stand up straight. The person usually telling you to stand up straight doesn't know how to stand. That's it, see? But here. Now, this is, I haven't taught you, but I do a flat hand. Again, so my power's just stir, so I'm not sitting there getting too pokey on somebody. But see, I'm looking for the twist of the spine. just that, like that tom-tom, there's a tom-tom drum and stuff, you know, it's, the rotation is more here versus here. So her rotation isn't here, that's not what I'm working on, I'm dealing with this. And honestly, a lot of our kids, especially in that kind of way, do not have that. You see, I'm not, you know?
Yeah.
Versus,
Yeah.
and again, look at that rate of speed, and the severity of counterbalance and momentum that I need is totally different. So that's why, you know, if you look at you know, look at someone on YouTube doing salsa and stuff, you know, and they're just, their twitches and everything's going everywhere. But their spines just look, you know, and everything's moving around it versus, you know. I'm going just quickly down to each spine because, again, she's not getting a half-hour lesson. She's going to get a quickie. And then just go down. No. This is also very, see now? See how she was hypertonic? The second she started, she actually went down almost to a slouch naturally. So this is where you'll see, too, kids with CP, and all of a sudden they almost go low tone. Because they've been so used to engaging these muscles, now they have to actually learn how to do it right. There you go. So I can go slouch, and go up to extension, and go into a slouch. See how I'm doing a figure 8 through her whole body. Again, she has a good rate of acceleration only in there. I've talked to it. If she didn't have that, then that would be a different conversation. Okie doke. Next.
It's getting better, but not quickly.
I told in the morning, don't say that it's cold. You're going to feel hot. Somebody has made it higher temperature.
Oh, right there. Feel it? Do you see when I touch a spot? And when so sometimes I just have to hang out going, and I'm waiting for her brain to say, oh, Michelle's going to hold that spot in my back for me. I don't have to do it anymore. And when it happens, boom, boom. So now I just reinforce it that she's mine. No. She didn't like me telling her that she was mine. And now, feel a difference? Notice I'm getting quicker with everyone. The more you watch this, the more you're already going, I know what to do with Michelle's hands. See how the shoulder's stuck? I'm looking for the glide of the shoulders. I'm changing this as whoever I'm working on. Notice I'm not going here. I'm going to come, no, shh, 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 shh. No, let it go, let it go. Just relax. Looking for that rotation. This kind of movement in women comes very often from if the baby's in there wrong. Hits her up their diaphragm and then they don't recover. That's it. Now, I'm not saying it's, see how the whole hand won't rotate, do you see it? That's it. See how I had to counter with that? Tush is way back there. And just, that's it. And again, she had the movement in her, it just was traumatized. Now just feel. Can you see how though, are you starting to see, even though I'm going really quick, I'm not teaching you all these movements. Now this is all being recorded so you can go back and do slow motion, you can do, you know, and play with it. But what you're seeing though is how I take the same basic function and I just see that each one of us just has figured out a different way of doing it. I'm not correcting it. I'm just saying, yeah, you can probably do that better. Who the heck wants to go through life like this? For her to go to put dishes away, you know, versus, oh, now she can do this. But also now that she can do this, now she can start telling her other arm, well, that's not, you know what I mean? And she can start working with it and figuring it out. Now, for her, I have to do it really slow because she's going to do whatever she can to do it with her head because she thinks she knows better than me. She's just greedy. And all the telling her to stop in the world right now is not working. See, now she couldn't do it, and she's going to do it with her belly. She's determined to figure out a way of doing this. Do you see how I so have to stop my movements, and she still won't? If you can't see it, I've been trying to rotate it, right? So she's doing this,
Her body is already
and then she's doing this, and then she tried it this way, and then she's like this. It still hasn't affected the spine.
Even when I was working with her, I felt the same thing. And I said,
But hopefully, well, I've said this to a couple of you, hopefully you're starting to learn. You might actually be doing this right, but you're feeling up with somebody that's, you know, it's their issues. It's not always, why can't I get this person to move? You can't because they can't move. There. Now I had to do it wide. See, it was a wide back turn, at least just to satisfy her brain, because she's really starting to get a little. But now, let's see.
I think she should not close her eyes. She opened them now.
And now I'm gonna. Work on the extent. Ah, right there. Feel it? So feel the extension from the lower back. Right? And then feel here.
Yeah.
See?
See, I would have liked 5 sessions with you when you were here. But there were no slots free.
It's like everyone's
Slots
saying.
really.
That's what saying people like next time you need at least a couple of days to hang out in Mumbai. I'm like, yeah. And then 5 kids will show up, and who do I work on? Saying, oh, I'm going to go to the ocean for a day or work on kids. So now I'm pressing actually a bit more aggressive into her spine, but rotating the shoulders back. So there. So now the acceleration's off on the head. That's it. Just feel the spine twisting. That's it. So see how that vertebrae just crossed midline through the back.
Yeah.
See, this is where I might have to get aggressive. These bones have been here for a long time. It's not that it's a chiropractic adjustment, but when I only have 10 seconds with someone, I might have to just say, dude, yo, but most of the part. There, ready. Got it. That's it. I like her leaning back, and there's still like about a ½ inch on this whole chair all the way down. So she's leaning back against the chair and can't make contact. So bring your tush back a little bit more, because to you that's a fall. Okay? You had someone a lot saying, you need to sit up straight, because every time, this is typical now, you'll see this with CP, you touch that C7, too much activation, and I'm talking too much might be this, they'll immediately want to go to sit up. See? That's not me, that's her. See her? Now see, she can't twist the spine, she's already met, she will find a way. No. Never thought that this was going to be psychotherapy weekend, huh? So I'm literally right now pushing her shoulder back just so I can make that spine independent from her shoulders. This is probably about as aggressive as I get. But again, when I only have 5 seconds to do a conversation versus, and this is where I was trying to show you, there's a big difference if I have 10 sessions with a child, and today I can just have a conversation here, but if I only have, you know, I have to make my presence known as much as, you see the rotation she's doing here. And again, it's not that it's wrong, it served her purpose for her this long. All I'm doing is saying, there's another way of doing that there. So I'm bringing the clavicle up in relationship, that's it, to the vertebrae. Most people, when they go to sit up, the back stays stiff and they're here. People don't sit up through the here, where the spine grows long. So even when I say grow long in the spine, most people just want to do this, or they'll do this with the head. And even too, if I find an awkward position per se, but she's getting it, I'll use it to my advantage. She can grow along much easier to the side, see this, than to the front. See the difference? See how the back's stuck. But here, for whatever reason, now you're calling me a liar, she's figured it out. See how she gets it? Then she doesn't start doing all of her other movements, like with the shoulder. So now look right, and look left. And look right. Okay. Look right. And look left. Did you see it before? When I said look right, she went to about here. Now again, if you have a crib, there you go. That's you put the baby down in a certain position all the time, and there's a light in a certain way. That alone will start affecting the head rotation. So if you place the baby down this way because you're right-handed, and then that's its only light source, the head will naturally go towards that light source, even just in a very minor way. So that's why we were meant to breastfeed. Baby gets to feel all those movements both sides. Bottle fed's here. NG tube is here. You know what I mean? G tube, all of those things. I'm not saying don't use those methods, but if you do, you have to consider the movements that don't evolve in that system. Sometimes it's this, and sometimes it's this. And depending on if it's a healthy system, yeah, I can always put down a baby this way. But a system that has torticollis, you really have to think about presenting what it's like. If I have torticollis, right, and we can all just stand up for a second. Do you know what torticollis is? Yeah. Do you know what torticollis is?
No, I do.
Okay. Torticollis is when the head is a wry neck, so it's like this. Okay, so fix your head like this. So in this position, think of me going back and sitting down. Keep your head like that. Just, okay, come up, keep the head like that. So now I'm going to come over here, keep the head like this. See, sitting down? See how it's easier because the head's presenting like that. So baby naturally, if they're like this, is not going to keep the head like that fixed. To roll over versus, keep the head like that, no, versus rolling over. This will be more when we work on the head. But it's one thing to just lift the head from the spine, but to, and then down. But see how her spine doesn't want to rotate?
Ingrain it.
So see the difference? Do you feel that? Notice I put her back down because I want her spine to have someplace to go. And believe me, on every one of you, I could take this lesson 15 different ways. I'm trying to keep with that same conversation. Feel the difference of this side? And now go down, 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 and then back. Again, this is more successful, so I'm trying to reinforce it. Reinforce it. And now, that's it. And that's it. Feel better? When I change it a lot, since she hasn't seen it before, again, I have to allow for her body to say, "Ooh, what are you doing to me, Miss Michelle?" Lots of times, too, let's say if you're a client of mine, you always come to me lying down. I said, today we're sitting up, if that's okay. I really have to work with them because they're so used to coming to me and just like, oh. You know, when I actually have them upright, they're like, you're expecting me to work? And it's going to be the same with your kids, if that's a spot. I'm here with my hips as well as my hands. You see how I'm working? Now watch the difference if I didn't use my body.
You will get stuck.
It's just not as fluid or effective for her. If I had 8 arms, I'd really give a good lesson.
8 down.
You know, like Shiv.
Yeah. You need to get a complete rotation.
Well, not only that, but could you imagine that if I had like a centipede around her,
right.
And then I could just do like that. I want to get someone on YouTube had like a dancing skeletal system before and after them, but of course they're just doing this. I'm dying to take Frank and just. Frank's my skeletal system at the office. It goes on like
It's so awesome to see most of your videos redone like on Frank now, like the pelvis and the feet.
He was bought by a client, and he's $1,200, and I tell you, I could kiss her boots. Although Frank right now has got some severe scoliosis.
Last year you got it, right?
Well, when I was here in India,
December while we were
someone emailed me, because I did a video saying, if anybody has some bones or skeletal systems in their closet, I really, you know, maybe their dad was a doctor or something. I mean, what are you going to do with I would put it to good use. And I got an email when I was here, and someone said, did you ever get your skeletal system? And I said, no. And she goes, would this work? And sent me a link. And I thought it was like the skeletal system company or whatever, and no, it was just someone who watches my videos. It was $1,200, and she's like, done, and shipped it to me.
Nice.
And I was like,
did you get to know who it was?
I know who it is, and I'm not allowed to say. She's one of my, but.
Yeah, just because back in Delhi you didn't know who it was.
Well,
It kind of,
now what I'm doing with her, I can't pick her up and bring her over her tush. Again, these kind of conversations go way back when someone just, you know, right now I'm going to have to say that her life was more of a, you know, be seen and not be heard kind of. Because you can tell she's got sitting down still real well. I don't mean to be pokey, but right in here in your lower back. But that's what's nice about movement. It doesn't matter what your past is, whether it's a day ago or 5 years ago or 20 years ago. With movement, even your memories can change. Does that make more sense?
You would want, when you're working, you would want somebody to have their hands free at the sides or on the hip because...
You know what? It all depends on who you're working with. If she feels more secure, but see how you can see, she really sits at attention. So I can sit there and say, don't do this, but this is really in her system. Just as if she had cerebral palsy, just if she had, you know, and so for me to necessarily take it away right away, so I'll protect it as much as possible, maybe let her take a load, and I'll come in, like, I wouldn't do this for a full-grown adult. This would be more like a kid pose where I'm kind of wrapped around them, and you'll see me on the videos, and maybe it'll be more the head. But see, it's my elbow behind her scapula. But that's what it takes for her to, in a sense, to have permission to experience this.
So now my hands are shifted. See,
Yeah, see? But look at how much quicker you're getting. But that's walking, to let the arms go. See, now the left one wants to fix, but the right one's swinging.
Yeah. Even the shoulders.
But this is probably the first time she's experienced not to relax. You don't need your arms in standing. So watch me jump. I don't need my arms. Most people jump like that. But this is actually hard to learn, but once you do, it's pretty free. But I'm just letting my arms fly. Same thing here. This is a Feldenkrais thing.
You do it like this.
I'm just tossing my arm.
Like this.
It's off like rotation of the pelvis, but most people would be lifting and trying to do it that way. Feel the lift? Just throw it. Throw it like a ball.
What we do generally as PTs, what we train is like use gravity. Just start doing there, then once you have it, you can just go for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Right.
people show you.
But I mean, that's a whole nother class, but
Yeah.
anyway, feel that one.
Still a little.
Oh, I know. I could spend on all of you, no offense, I could spend 5 days with you.
Yeah, I understand that completely. So the next time we have a parent session, you don't have to.
But now walk and feel your arms swing. Now you'll go out in the street and you'll see, especially men around here, I don't know if they've been carrying, but the one arm will be fixed, and the other arm will be swinging. I'm like, what the heck? More Indian men do that. And what I was going to say to you, most of our issues are not skin deep. They go pretty, they could go pretty. What?
She's asking, is this for shoulders, is this for upper spine, is this for lower spine? I said that there's an X-ray there, so whatever is needing it will get it, kind of thing.
Open system. She's looking somewhere.
Now she's never been allowed to even just sit back again.
Oh my God.
Listen, a lot of us have been, every movement we made, whether we realize it or not, has been criticized, poked upon, more so with women that are older. I've asked for you to sit over there. Now, how many times am I going to tell you, please sit there? You know? But
It has so much of an impact on a person's.
every action has a reaction. So
Just even verbal.
good or bad, but verbal is still, your movements are talking to my movements. If I taught this whole class like this, you'd be like, who's this crazy woman? You know what I mean? It takes my level here down to here for a child. Now, if I talk to you like Donald Duck, you'd be like, I'm not a baby.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it all depends on you, and I have to learn how to read those. So remember, every emotion is a movement. You know, when you see someone with a stick up their butt, they have a stick up their butt, and they act like that. Someone that has anxiety has a very high tight chest cavity, GERD, acid reflux. If you have a tight chest cavity and you can't even burp and expand your chest, where do you think that acid's going? Same thing with our kiddos with CP. You know, Stuyvesant syndrome, and they're all this and they're just doing this to get that reflux out, or do they have spastic CP? A lot of these kiddos, it's just GERD. That's why, too, if I see this, do I have a headache? But he's nonverbal and he's just going to get the damn pain in. My son had a sinus infection for 4 years. All through here the infection was. That's why he ended up at blind school. Because just the
It was
pressure.
all, yeah.
But he also learned not to see for 2.5 years. So how do you think that affects your head movements if you're not curious to see what's going on over here and there? So to start to have, again, walk in a person's shoes and feel what they are like instead of judging them. Because she's going to act based off of her life experience, not based off of how you're talking to them. And that's where people get insecure. They think she's being rude to me, so it has to do with me. Well, maybe just the way she's carried her eyes and this, that, and the other because someone said don't look this way, you know. What? Poking the eye is for visual stim. They're looking for colors. So usually I put, it's a stim. And usually they have a visual abnormality, and a lot of these kids have never been to an eye doctor. But also there could be a pain like my son, you know. That's the hardest part. You think you guys are learning a lot? What?
With a couple of kids, we found even sinus being an issue.
Well, that's what my son's sinuses were all infected, right? So then when I tell people and they go, oh my God, he had a sinus infection for 4 years. Do you know how much pain he was in? Oh no, duh.
Yeah.
No, that's why I've been to 4 ear, nose, and throat, you know, UCSD, or University of California, San Diego, Tucson, National Jewish in Denver, you know, plus Phoenix. 26 doctors Graham's been to. 19 said he had autism. Now when I tell a doctor my son had Haemophilus influenza for 3 years, they look at me like I'm the one who's crazy. My son was screaming for 2 days straight. He was 2 years old. I took him to Phoenix Children's Hospital, supposed to be one of the best in the country. We don't treat fussy babies. But to go back now and say, you idiot, he had a life-threatening contagious disease. But because he didn't have a fever, you saw me complaining of a fussy baby. So I threatened to sue the hospital. My son had a 22,000 white count, and they were going to bag him and let him go home. I said, I'm not leaving. I said, if you're not taking him, I'm going to the next hospital, and if he's admitted for any reason, I'm done. I'm taking you down. So now I'm marked on the files, you know? Yeah. Again, my son was in sepsis shock. He was going to bag him and let him home because, again, he didn't have a fever. He had blood poisoning. That's how that. He was in the hospital then for 6 days with infectious disease. But I couldn't get past the ER. So it's about 2.5, and I don't go to the hospital for a splinter. I mean, I'm talking, you know. So he was going pre-pneumonia. I knew it. I couldn't get his breathing under control. But Graham, since he doesn't have an immune system, I can't wait for pneumonia. I have to get it beforehand. So the doctors give me a hard time. This is how I know my file's marked now. And they're like, well, Mrs. Turner, you know, you actually haven't been here for a long time. I said, I don't come here. I'm not a hypochondriac. I have a very sick child. And I can't get his breathing under control. And he goes, well, I hear nothing, see nothing, but I'll give you an x-ray just to, you know, because you came here. Comes back. He's pre-pneumonia. Oh, good. And amoxicillin's not going to cover it. Thank you. But again, do you want to give my son a $20 antibiotic, or do you want to wait till he has pneumonia and you've got 6 days in the hospital? Yeah. Which costs so much more for the system? And by the way, even all of this, and I'm starting to get a little peeved because I'm talking about, you know, my son's medical, it has not affected her lesson.
But I think this also improves the mobility in the chest cavity also, right? Just the way
It
that you're doing.
improves absolutely everything. If you don't have to worry about your breathing, if you, every time, so sit down for a second and hold your breath and try and get up.
Yeah.
Right. And now sit down and get up without holding your breath. Okay, so now sit down again and hold your breath. And try and talk as you're getting up. So what's more important? Your body breathing or walking and talking? Your body's going to choose to protect the breath.
So for kids who have open mouth position.
Okay, everybody sit down, open their mouth, and don't close it. Open the mouth. And now, drop the jaw.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna do this next week too, but drop the jaw.
Yeah,
Open?
Sit down. Drop the jaw.
I mean hang it, not just open it. Hang the jaw like hypotonic. Okay, keep it in that position and try and stand up. Yeah,
It's a little bit harder to breathe.
Yeah.
a little bit harder to breathe, but you're not even sitting down trying to get up.
Yeah.
Sit in.
And you can't breathe or swallow when you're, I've got the jaw open. When you're, hang your jaw open and try and swallow. I can do it because I've had training. It's physically impossible for most people. So now if you can't swallow, now at the same time try and breathe with the jaw open. Yeah. But the power of breathing is here versus here. Do you see that? That here versus a chest cavity. You see how it becomes a muscle function? So drop the jaw. See how breathing's much more muscular than versus a natural breath. So what do you want to work on first? Breathing has to be conquered first and organized at a better level. Okay, there we go.
नहीं इसके बाद आए
That's it. That's where you see me too on all my videos. There you go. That's it.
Just one breath.
If not, just move the tripod back and then just put it on Zoom. But we're just about done anyway. We don't have to record everybody.
हाँ
That's it.
There is extra.
हेलो हूँ मैं पीछे लेके आती हूँ
Now I'm being a little bit more forceful for me. And I usually apologize if I get in there, because if I feel I'm being pokey, they're probably thinking I'm being pokey. But honestly, my idea of a poke is like, when I say that, it's not, I've seen people just go, you have muscle memory issues. I'm like, yeah, well, I do now if I didn't before.
That treatment she's carrying or it's with me? No, it's with me. Clinic.
Now, see how you shorten the neck.
मला आता असेल माझ्याकडे दोन वस्तू आहेत
Go to where you're short.
एक लॅपटॉप आणि
See right here? Let it happen. This is where if anybody worked on me, I'd be so happy. You actually felt me up. My neck is collapsing. I don't have any repercussions because of it, but Swati's felt me up. But my 4 and 5, or 5 and 6 go. That's it. See how then she gets quicker. And that's where the neutral comes. I can now do something to the right as well as I can to the left. And that's where I do like martial arts and stuff, because I practice just as much here as I do here. Now, because of my knee, because I have the femoral torsion and all that from the bars on my, see, this is where it comes up in karate. See how my knee, especially when I'm in a cat pose, see if I brought my knee out, then I'm just, especially like a horse stance too, I'm here and I have to bring my knees out. So my horse stance is here, right? Which is fine, but my karate instructor is always like knees out, knees out. It's like, dude, this is all you get. But again, when I go to kick, see how crooked my leg is.